Oh, I think we actually are live. I should pay attention to what I'm doing here. I'm like zoning out off in my own little world. Let me make sure this is playing before I get started too much. Too much, too far, too... Grammar, not my forte. Let's see. 1 second. I'm just going to sit here and wait for this to awkwardly load. There we go. Let's make sure volume is there. Anything? Oh, I think we... Oh, yep. I can hear me. Okay, so we should be good. Let me know if I need to turn the volume up. If enough of you say that, it may just be your device that needs to be turned up. But if enough of you are having a hard time hearing me, let me know, because I am using a different mic than I normally do. I'm at my workbench. This is like my dream area to draw. It's so pretty. This is the same one that what you're seeing in the thumbnail for this video or the live stream with the lights and the colored pencils, and it's so pretty, but it kills my back. But because I'm working in a sketchbook tonight, we have to work flat. So there we go. Oh, let's pop out this chat so I can keep up with you guys better. You may have to let me know too, because I have a tendency, I want to work like basically in my lap, and this is way out in front of me, which is super awkward to draw this way. So I may have to readjust things a few times. Don't get too mad if I do. Okay, so just before I get started with anything, I want you guys to know this is a sponsored video. This box was sent to me by Smart Art Box, but all of the opinions and all of that stuff are my own. If you are interested in signing up for your own Smart Art Box, which if you're not familiar with, it is a monthly subscription. Gosh, I can't talk. A monthly subscription box where every month they send you a box full of full-size art supplies and instructions and everything, so you can create your own projects and get to try a lot of new mediums, which I love. It's so much fun. Okay, so that is out of the way. The links for the countries that these boxes are available to and how you can get your own subscription with a discount code for your subscription. I think it gives you $5 off your subscription for life. So those are available. And let's go ahead and see what came in this box. I cheated a little. I opened it just to make sure it was a box that was going to work well for a live stream. But what we've got, so what you start with your Smart Art boxes, they always give you, and this is one of the things that I think gives you the most, there's just so much value in that with these, because it's not just a bunch of supplies. Here's a box, figure out what to do with them. They're going to go through this month. They're featuring Morgan Davidson, who, if you're not familiar with her, is awesome. I follow her on Instagram. She has the most awesome artwork. But she, it goes over her as kind of our art going through the history, colored pencil. She works in colored pencil. You've got some project pointers. You've got, it goes over the actual tools, everything that came in your box. Talks about the colored pencils in this case, and then you've got a step-by-step instruction on how to use whatever medium you're working in that month. So let's go ahead and see all the other fun stuff. I really don't need that too much, just because, you know, colored pencils, I actually do know what I'm doing with these. So the first thing we've got in this box is this sharpener. I have so many fun sharpeners that I've gotten from Smart Art Box that I love, that I would never have thought to try. Let's see which this one is. This is the Colored pencil sharpener, designed for sharpening colored pencils. This double hole plastic sharpener features information, and we don't care. It's a pencil sharpener, but it's got a nice container, so we'll be using that tonight for sure. We have a colorless blender. This is the Fenetec colorless blender. I think I may have tried these before. I'm not sure. We'll try that. And I'm actually going to try blending OMS with these pencils, so that we can get a better idea of how they work with that. We also have the eraser. This is the Faber-Castell, the ink eraser. You guys always see me use the green ones. Let me see if I have one. I don't have one right here. Maybe I do. Nope, I don't. The green ones that you guys see me use so often, this is the one, the green label, or it's kind of a lime green, comes on the ones from Mexico. These ones for the US and the UK get this kind of cream color, and a little brush for wiping away our eraser marks. So kind of cool. I have not had one that had the little brush on the end. The colored pencils. These are the Bruynzeel, am I saying that right? Colored pencils. This is a set of 12, and I have already promised, my nephew, he gets these when I'm done with this review. Actually, I promised his mom. I'm going to assume she told him. But there are those pencils, so they're pretty clearly marked on what colors come in that tin. Cute little tin there. And last, a Fabriano. This is their, let's see, Venice book. Drawing paper, 90 pounds. So it's not super heavyweight. 48 sheets in here, acid free. This is a 6x9" sketchbook. That's another thing I love with the Smart Art box. I have so many sketchbooks because like all kinds of different paper I've gotten to try out of these. Really fun stuff. Like I didn't even know this existed. Okay, so let's move all of this stuff out of the way. Let's go up and see if I've missed a few comments here. Good, you guys are there. Melody wants to know about Chicken and Nugget. They are doing great. JPC13 Art said this is a nice sketchbook. Good to know. We'll find out. Oh, it's got, okay, let's open it. It's got a little plastic on it. Come on. It's apparently a thick piece of plastic that doesn't want to cut. I guess I could have done this before the stream, huh? And there we go. Let's pull that label off. I'm going to have to rearrange my computer setup for just a second here because I already know I'm going to have a tendency to want to work off camera, and I'm going to try to avoid that as much as possible for you guys. Okay, so there is the sketchbook. It feels nice. It feels fancy. Like, well, it's a hardcover book. I'm liking this one. So the only thing I don't like about sketchbooks like this is trying to turn the page. It's like it doesn't stay open like the ring binder type. This is, or the spiral binders. This is definitely going to be a bit of a pain to break that spine in a bit. And this is why I knew I wasn't going to be able to just, I keep looking at my computer. You guys are up here. I've got, my setup is so different. I'm so confused tonight. But I knew this was going to be why I couldn't work upright at my easel like usual, because working on this wasn't going to work out too well that way. So the first thing that I'm actually going to do is use a graphite pencil to draw things out. You can draw things with your colored pencil, but it doesn't erase that well. And actually, let's do a couple color. Talking is already hard. I haven't had enough coffee yet, clearly. Let's go ahead. I want to do a quick color swatch and see how well this does erase. Come to me, pencil. So let's try this on the front. So I'm going to use that and that ink eraser. Yeah, that's not going to erase much. And I also brought out, just to test these pencils, a piece of scratch paper for my Fabriano Artistico. Since we're used to working on that, we can get an idea of the difference with these pencils. Wow, look at can you guys see the difference in how grainy and gritty that is on a rougher paper versus something very, very smooth? This is why I like the hot press, that really smooth surface, because look how smooth, just from, I mean, I haven't even blended yet and it already looks smooth compared to the sketchbook. So the sketchbook I think will be good for doing quick sketch type things, obviously not finished artwork. Let's see how it erases off there. Yeah, so these pencils don't erase super well. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I just wanted to know that going in. Most pencils don't erase well. A few of them did. I think Colorsoft actually erased fairly well, which is weird. Okay. So I have to start by sketching out. This is kind of funny. I'm using this goldfish as my reference photo, one of my own paintings, but I just wanted something that I could do quickly. How do we want to draw him? This way? This way? I don't know. We'll go this way. I'll be lazy. So what I'm going to do when I draw things out, actually, this is in the way. This is going to be a real challenge tonight with my setup here. Okay, when I draw things out, in order to keep things within perspective, I first like to, well, I basically draw things in circles. You've seen a lot of books where they draw things in circles. I do that, sort of. Mine is to keep things the right perspective, because if I start if you start drawing like the detail in the eye and around the mouth and work your way out, you're going to either be too big or too small. So in order to keep my drawings the size that I want, I'm going to draw out, get an idea. Okay, I want his belly about here. I'm going to have him angled up a bit. I'll put his eye around here. I'm going to come through later and I can perfect stuff. But you can see these circles that I'm drawing just to make sure. Give him a nice full belly there. And he's going to go off the page a little bit, which doesn't matter. Like I said, I'm not trying to create this amazing finished piece of artwork that I'm going to make prints or anything out of. I just want to get an idea of how these pencils work, and I thought this project would give me a good idea because I'm going to be using a lot of reds and oranges and yellows and the black, so I can see how the color pigmentation is on these. And then I will try more blending on my Fabriano paper as well. So his tail is just going to be floofy and go right off the page. I'm not going to worry about that. But see how I kind of drew out my main shapes first, and then I can come through and perfect anything else. I'm actually going to make his tail come around this way a bit. I don't care. I'm not going for accuracy here. I'm going for cute. So the two supplies that I'm using right now that are not a part of this box were just my eraser, and actually that came from a previous Smart Art box, and this one is my Staedtler Mars Lumograph. This is a 6H graphite pencil. Now the graphite pencil, I need to do an actual drawing tutorial for you guys with a darker pencil so you can see what I'm doing better. But the graphite pencil, when I'm working with colored pencil, I go with a 6H or a 4H, no darker than a 4H, but a 6H is usually my go-to lead because it's light enough that I see what I'm doing there, but it's not so dark that that graphite is just going to blend into my pencils. And that's a problem that a lot of people have with colored pencils is what pencil do you use to not end up with graphite smudges? Now, as you can see, look how light I'm drawing this. It is very, very light. You can hardly see it. I can see it a little better in person than you're seeing on camera, but it's very, very light. So now I'm going to come through, now that I've got my main shapes in there, I'm going to perfect his eye needs to be bigger. I'm going to make them a little bit oversized because I think it's adorable that way. Like I said, going for cute, not accurate. Actually, we'll pull this in that way, and we'll extend his belly a little bit more. Now what I want to do, see how I've got all these sketchy lines? I want to make sure that I erase those before I start with colored pencil because that will be hard to get rid of. Now, I can use my ink eraser for this, but it's a little bit rougher than what I really need for just the graphite. This is I'm going to use more for the colored pencil if I end up needing it. Catherine wants to know if the art box has a project or do you create your own designs? They do come with a project. Where did my paper go? You can see the step-by-step in this case that they go through where they want you to blend and what colors to add and those sort of things. But yeah, they always have a project on it for you to follow, or you can do like what I do and just kind of make it up as you go along. So I follow their directions as far as the layering and order. Well, not in colored pencil because that's one of my own mediums, but normally like with the markers that I did recently, I followed their instructions. You haven't seen that one yet. I need to edit that video still, but I followed their instructions fairly well, sort of. I don't like instructions. I mean, I like them when it's something I don't know what I'm doing, but then I tend to not follow them anyway. And then wonder why nothing came out right. Let's give them a little fin to the side here. When you're working with colored pencils, you want to get everything drawn out before you start with the pencils because it is really hard to go back through and make corrections if you later on realize that you did not like some of the lines that you had or you wanted to make changes. Okay, good enough. So that is my sketch, which you can probably hardly see. It's really, really light. And that, again, is so important when you're working in colored pencil. So I do need to go through, though. I've got a few sketchy lines I want to get rid of that don't need to be there. Now, normally, when I am working on a project that I'm going to, like not in a sketchbook, but something that I'm actually going to make prints of and sell the original of, I don't typically just use straight graphite and make my sketch on the paper. If I want to freehand something, I'm going to draw it on something else and then use transfer or tracing paper or more likely a projector. So I can still draw it on my own, but I want to use the projector to project it back onto the good paper so that I don't have these sketch lines all over the place where I erase and I readjust stuff. Christy Jones said, how do you charge per linear inch for your originals? Do you take into account the material and time spent and add that too, or do you make sure the linear inch will cover that? Yeah, I mean, it's all associated. I just figure out how much, I mean, the size determines a lot of the supplies that I'm going to use, so that's all already there. Now, I will sometimes raise prices, like the dolphin painting that I just did. I think I undercharged him. I've got to change the price on my website. So if you're quick, you can get it for the old price, but I need to raise the price a little bit because I used a linen canvas, which is more expensive. Whoops, hit the camera. I used a linen canvas, which is more expensive, and I used a box canvas, again, more expensive. So that is a more expensive canvas than, let's say, a 3/4 inch Blue Label. So I'm going to charge more in a case like that too if I used special supplies. If something about that piece took extra long, super elaborate detailed background, I'm going to charge more for that too. It's not just, it'll be my linear inch and I may tack some on just to make up because I spent longer on it. There's no one right or wrong answer for pricing. You've got to figure out what works best for you. I mean, there's certain things, certain guidelines that you've seen, I'm sure, my pricing, how to price your art video, that help, but there's always going to be other factors that may make you change some of that. Mighty Evil One said, I've watched most of your YouTube videos, but I've never seen you work with charcoal. I tried it, will never go back to graphite. Charcoal's too messy for me. I don't like how it feels on my hands. I'm a weird person. Okay, so what I'm going to do on this fish, I'm going to start with my yellows, build up to orange, and then into red. I don't want to just add the red. Actually, there's not even going to be that much red. It's mostly going to be my yellow and orange. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to be pretty messy because this is a sketchbook. Now this paper, one thing that's really nice about having paper that has a bit more tooth is that the color, the pigment, this pigment's actually pretty nice, goes on really fast. I am a fan of that. Oh my gosh, this is like really, I didn't give him much of a body there for his tail. Oh, I'm missing a fin there too, whatever. We'll just pull his tail up there a little bit. I usually spend a bit more time when I draw stuff out making sure everything's on there right. I am impressed. Is this going to be the same on this? That is like nice pigment. Now these pencils, from what I understand, yellow, that's a nice yellow. These pencils they're not light fast as far as I know. I mean, I can't find any information on light fast rating, which generally means not light fast. And you have to watch, a lot of colored pencil companies like to say superior light fast quality, blah, 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 but they've never done any light fast testing. They've not tested it, that they can't give you either the blue wool scale or ASTM result. I just said that wrong, did I? Whatever. Results, not light fast. You don't want to trust that. So it's fine for sketchbooks. Like here, I don't care if this is light fast. I'm not selling this. But if you were, for practice and such, it's fine. But if you were trying to sell your artwork, you do want to make sure that you're going with something that's very light fast. This color is laying down so fast on this paper. This is really awesome. That is nice. I like that in a sketchbook. I like things to go very quick, because I mean, if you're working in a sketchbook, you don't want to spend 8 hours on a project. That doesn't make sense in a sketchbook. I've seen artists do that, and I'm always looking at that going, well, I don't understand. You can't make prints out of it because it's not really gonna photograph well that way, and in most cases. Yeah, this color is nice. I wasn't expecting that. I was actually expecting these to have a really low pigment. Now these are supposed to be wax based, I believe, and I was expecting them to be more filler and not so much with the pigment. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm going to layer this orange down into my yellow. I don't want to cover all the yellow. I want some of that yellow to peek through. You have to be careful because the yellow being so much lighter, it's fairly translucent. I can put it on top of the orange, but it's never going to go back to bright yellow. So I have to be careful anywhere where I do want it to be really light that I don't overdo that. I'm so far impressed. I'm curious to see how this blends out. Rachel said, have you come to a decision about what your favorite watercolor pencils are between the Derwent and Caran-D'Ache? Just wondering if you'll talk more. I'm going to do a complete comparison video on those, and I'll talk more about them then. But I can't give you a definite answer. There are things that I like about each one differently. So I can't say for certain which one's my favorite. We'll see. I need to do the same project 2 times. Like, let's say I did a goldfish. I need to do it both on the same paper with the same pencils to get a better idea. But I can say that I love them and will be using them both a lot. So I'm going to mix into purple because I want him to have black. But if I go straight from orange into black, you get this kind of ugly flat color that I don't like. So I'm going to put purple down first, and then I'll layer black where I want it to be much darker. These are nice. This is actually a really pretty color too. What color is this called? Do they say? Oh, they just give you a number, not a color. I'm curious if these can even be purchased open stock. I don't know what the price is. If one of you guys wants to look it up really quick, I'd love to know. I don't know if they're open stock. I have a feeling they're not. Usually when you get into kind of bargain pencils, they're not available open stock. So it'd be something like, let's say you're new, you're just wanting to try pencils. If you find one that you think will be good for you to just kind of get the hang of, but you're not sure, you know, you don't want to go and spend $200 on a full set of something else, you could start with something like this, and then as you replace them, replace individual colors with the more expensive pencils over time. I'm going to push a little bit harder here. They definitely have a very waxy feel. They go on almost buttery. Could I try reviewing the Van Gogh colored pencils? Maybe. Are these watercolor pencils? No, they are not. What is my favorite color? Teal. What type of tones do I like working with? Like cool or warm? No preference. What pencils am I working with? All the supplies I'm using are in the video description. They're all listed out there. Now, I don't even know. So here's the thing. If I blend out with this pencil, which is what they suggest, what you're doing is burnishing. You're flattening the tooth of the paper, and it does give you a rich look, but it also means I can't do more layers. So I'm gonna test back here and see what happens when I blend this way, because I'm not sure if I've got enough pigment on the paper to really make, if I'm ready to blend with burnishing yet. So I'm going to fade purple to orange. Make sure I've got about what I have in the fish. And let's go ahead and test that. Yeah, this is dry and chalky feeling. I don't really like this blender that much. Yeah, I think I've used this one before and it wasn't a good fit for me. So see how it makes the colors more rich and it blends them down. But the problem is I'm now not going to get that much pencil to stick on top. A little bit, not a ton. So I definitely, if I'm going to blend with the tools that came in the Smart Art box, I'm going to really want to get some more pigment on that paper. And I may just blend with OMS and cheat completely. I kind of like this sketch pad. I mean, yeah, it's rough, but the color, the pigment just goes down so quickly. So if you're doing a quick sketch, this is a nice pad. They don't feel, they're 90 pounds, but they feel pretty nice, pretty thick. Let's see. Do I want to try blending right now? Maybe. Decisions. I don't know what I'm doing if you can't tell. A little bit more color in there. Okay, I'm actually going to go ahead and throw in some black now. I may blend him with the colorless blender and then blend the rest of the fish with OMS. Because I'm a cheater. I always go into these art box going, okay, I'm going to do a project just with what comes in the box, because the box does have everything you need for a project. But whenever it's a medium like this where I have, like, I'm used to working in, I want to try it with my usual supplies. Okay, let's go ahead and go over this. So these you end up having to push a little bit harder. I'm not pushing terribly hard right now, but you usually will push a bit harder, so you do damage that tooth of the paper a bit. And you're adding more wax to the paper when you do that, so that's one more thing that makes the pencil not stick as well. So I'm going to blend over this first, the light areas, and then I will go up into the magenta color, or that kind of purpley color. Not super dark. I mean, it works. If you were out, let's say you were out sketching in the park or something like that, then this colorless blender would be okay. It actually works decent with these pencils, better than the ones I tried before. But I don't know. I just don't. My hand and my arthritis says no to that. So let's go ahead and grab the OMS. Do I have any in there? Oh, that's almost empty. What is it? Pencils are on the floor. Oh, good. I'm missing the paper towel that I need. Where did I put that? I should have them up here. Oh, this will work. It's not what I was looking for, but it will work. So I need to grab a brush to use with this. I can't see. There they are. Vladimir wants to know if I was advanced in school, like tag, honors, etc. I took AP Studio Art class my senior year in high school, and that wasn't like where they taught you anything. They just said, here are the supplies, here's a theme, go paint or draw. It was fun. I loved it. So you pretty much got to do whatever you wanted. I mean, you didn't learn anything where they weren't teaching you stuff, but it was, you know, you just got to explore a lot of mediums, which was fun. Giver said, I find it difficult to grab the right color when I'm looking at my reference photo and create the same color on my project. Any tips on translating color from reference photo to project? Yes. You want to, this has just a tiny bit of OMS. Ooh, that blends nice. I like this. These would be decent pencils then, I think, for most people to learn with. That makes me happy because everyone always asks for a low-cost alternative to the brands that I use. And while this isn't, you know, nothing, you do get what you pay for. It's not going to be as good, but it's nice if there's something that people could just get started with. Yeah, maybe it's not as good, but if you can still learn some of the techniques, this is good. I wouldn't sell a project with this because of the light fast issues, but for learning and practicing, I kind of like these. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Oh, I'm glad that they sent these because I always like trying to find pencils that I can recommend. It blends pretty well. Now, because I'm blending with odorless mineral spirits, this one is Mona Lisa odorless mineral spirits. You can also use Gamsol. And if you need a list of any of the supplies that I use for colored pencil, if you go to my website, lachri.com, I have a supply list there. I like that. I mean, considering that I only did one quick layer, that is very, very pigmented. So let's go ahead and let that dry. While that dries, I'm just curious how much these pencils cost. But yeah, tips on, sorry, I changed subjects on you there. The tips for your color matching. Use Photoshop and an eyedropper tool. If you look up Lachri and color matching, those terms on YouTube, I've got a video that shows you exactly how I do it. It makes it so much easier to determine the color that you need. So let's see. I hate the name on these because they're actually really long. Let's see. Bruynzeel. I just want to get an idea of what these cost. Okay, Jerry's Artorama has them. Let's just use them as our test for the price on these. A set of 12 is on sale. Retails at $25. They have it on their sale price is $18.79. That's not bad. Oh, and that's in a wooden box. It looks, or no, it's a box. I can't tell what that is. Is that a wooden box? 24 is 37. 48 is 70. But that's a nice wood box. It looks like it's not just the pencils you're getting there. That's kind of cool. I'm trying to find out if you can get these individual. Let's check Amazon. I didn't look this up before, honestly. I didn't think I'd like them, so I didn't think I'd care. But now that I'm like, wow, these are actually something I might recommend people trying out. I have found so many cool supplies because of Smart Art boxes before. Let's try these. Bruynzeel Colored Pencil. Okay. How about, let's see. I'm not seeing anywhere where they're available open stock. I'll have to look more into that. So that again comes in. Oh, wait. That's an open stock pencil. That's their design colored pencil. What do I have? Expressions. Let's type that in. If one of you guys are faster than me at finding out if these are open stock, let me know. Yeah, Gail says, I don't see that the expressions come in open stock. Have I ever tried using gouache? Yes, I have. I want to say it's not my preferred medium. I mean, I've only played with it a little bit here and there, but I didn't think I liked watercolor pencils either, and it turns out they're the best thing ever. So, anyway, yeah, I'm going to say with these pencils, I would, like, if you're looking for a pencil, I'm almost tempted. My nephew wants a new set of pencils. I sent him my Color Soft, and he's almost out of those. Kind of like these better. Well, no, wait. I don't know why I'm saying kind of. I way like these better. So maybe this would be a good way for a good pencil for him. He's still young enough that I don't think he necessarily needs like polychromos or anything like that. I don't think that that's going to be a good value for him yet. I want him to feel comfortable to just explore and play with them and not have to worry about how much they cost. So this might be a really, really good pencil for him. This is still a little bit wet, I think. The pencil's not sticking so well now. Well, that and I burnished a little bit over it. But let's go ahead and do the fins really quick. And I'm going to do the same thing with them. I'm going to add some yellow. Actually, not going to go crazy on the yellow here. I'm going to switch mostly to orange. Now, see how I'm holding the pencil to the side here? With colored pencil, usually I do not recommend doing that because you're going to get more of that grainy, gritty look, which typically I try to avoid, but it's a sketchbook, so I'm going to be lazy. It feels more, like you get more filled in fast, but it doesn't blend out as nicely as keeping a nice sharp point and working in little ovals and circles on your paper. But again, sketchbook, so different rules, at least for me. I want to make sure his fin is getting sketched in the direction that those lines on the fin would be. So I can go ahead and give him his little eye. I'm curious to see how that white pencil is. I'll go back with that soon. Do I have color recommendation for polychromos colored pencils? Whatever color. Personal preference. There's no way I could recommend colors for you. I mean, the Caput Mortem, and I know I'm always saying that wrong, that's a color I always use in portraits, if that helps. But besides that, no, I really don't. It's completely a personal difference or preference. Gail said on Amazon, the set of 24 are $17.43, so that's pretty cool. That's definitely, I have a feeling I'm going to be sending Tyler this brand. I kind of want to send my nephew, my sister had just told me he's running, he has the Color Soft and they're getting low, so he's going to need some new ones. And I kind of want to send him the Inktense with my artwork on the tin, but being that they're permanent when you add water, I don't know if she's going to be thrilled if something happens and it ends up all over her couch. So he may need to hold off on the Inktense for a bit. But I think I like these. I think he'll like them too because the color lays down so fast. Really good for a sketchbook. Just throw a bit more in there. And see how when I blended the purple into the black, that you blend the black straight with, especially with colored pencils, you blend it straight in, like right next to each other. It's so easy to accidentally end up with this ugly, ugly muddy color. And so I like to try to avoid jumping to black if I can. I want black. I use black in my work all the time, but I don't want to just jump straight to that. I usually will blend it in with other colors. And in this case, just anytime, you guys may know this about, if you've been watching my videos for very long, I love orange into magenta, or like those two colors together. I use them all the time. So that's why here I could pretty much get a good idea that that was going to work out well for me. Now, I don't necessarily want him to be super purple because, you know, it's not really a goldfish color. But unless there's some weird breed I don't know about yet. Could happen. Let's go ahead. I'm going to get a bit more pigment on that paper. A little bit of black here so that can blend in with the OMS, and I'm going to layer more black too to darken it up a lot more later on. I just want to start that in there. Now, I always get someone who decides to be a jerk and tell me whenever I do something like this live where it's a super sketchy thing, tell me how terrible my work looks, and it's like, it's a sketchbook. I just want to throw that out there. It's a sketchbook. Be quiet. It's not supposed to be amazing. So let's go ahead. I'm going to blend that with the OMS again. I'm not going to bother with the colorless blender. I could already feel it in my hand and wrist. I just do not handle those well, but that's just because of the arthritis. So I don't have a lot of pigment. That's not blending as well. I definitely would want to add more than what I've added there. Oops, way too much OMS on that brush. Oh well. And then I'm going to let that dry. I'll answer a couple of questions while we let that set. Oh, he's kind of cute. I actually like the purple. Okay, Nick wants to, whoops, scrolled too far. There's a shocker. Here we go. Nick wants to know if I've tried the Winsor & Newton watercolor markers. Think you'd like playing with those. I have not yet. Rose wants to know if I have any advice. What would be a good color pencil project for beginners? Roses are really good because, and I like that for a lot of beginner projects, but I like that it has curves and shadows, and if you draw a petal in the completely wrong place, if you forget to add a petal, no one's going to know the difference. Whereas, let's say you're drawing an animal. If you forget to add an eye, people are going to notice. So it's very forgiving to work on a project with flowers. And I recommend try something that has a lot of contrast and more detail than you think. If you go with something that's super basic, super easy, you're going to it's harder to make that look good. So while something that's busy and has a lot of detail may take longer, it's also going to look better than something that looks super basic. And I know that seems backwards, but it's just how it is. Let's see. Cam said, did you use OMS when you worked with Prismacolor? Is it better with oil versus wax? I did use it with Prismacolor. That's where I first started using it, and it works beautifully with Prismacolor. It works with oil, wax, it doesn't matter. It all works really nice except for Colorsoft. Do I have a recommendation for Polychromos colored pencil? I've already answered that. June said, what has the GMS of paper to do with the quality? I don't see much difference in the 300 and the 400, the fact that the 400 is costly. Usually, it's the weight of the paper. So, like this, oh, that's not the, where did it go? So, on this one, oh, it doesn't list it that way, but your weight, how heavy the paper is usually. Not that, wait, I've seen lower, and with the 300 and 400 series, I think you're talking about Strathmore, so that's going to be a little bit different, and I'm not, I've used them, but I don't remember, honestly, the difference between those ones, so I can't give you much advice there. But the weight of the paper is going to be how thick the paper is. My brain may be not working on me right now. Lee said, I just bought about 7 Faber-Castells that are all pinks and purples. I'll have a 2 or a 3 star. Do you know if there are replacements for the old 1 star? I don't think there are. I just don't use the 1 or the 1 stars I just pulled from my set. The 1 stars are the not so light fast ones. There were only a couple of them though, so it wasn't too bad. Rachel said, is light fast a big issue for colored pencil as it is for other type of media? I think watercolor has one of the biggest issues with light fast ratings. But yes, it is a big issue, much more so than like my Liquitex Basics. They're all pretty much light fast. Like that's not a problem with my paint, my oil paints. I'm not having a problem with light fast with those, or at least not with the brands that I use. But with colored pencil, absolutely. So that's where the brand that you use makes a big difference. With Polychromos, I think there were two pencils that were not light fast that I pulled for my set. Karen-Pablo Luminance, they're all light fast. Prismacolor, gosh, how many were there? It was like 50 of them, I think. Something like, I don't remember. I don't use them anymore, so I don't remember. But they had a lot that were not light fast. Derwent, whether it be the Pro Color or the Color Soft, they're about 50-50 of them that are or are not light fast. Although they do have a new light fast set coming out, I've heard, so that'll be cool. But yeah, it definitely can make a big difference. Do I have a sketchbook? Can I do a sketchbook tour? You know, I never really draw in sketchbooks. I get bored. I want to do finished projects. So I buy sketchbooks and I think that, and then I hoard the ones I get from Smart Art Box. I think, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start a sketchbook. I'll get all excited and I'm motivated and I draw one thing and then I never pick it up again. Because I just like bigger, full projects. If I'm going to draw, I want to draw something that I can make prints of and that I can make a video out of and all of the fun stuff. So no, I don't have a sketchbook tour that I can show you, unfortunately. No, I do. You know, at the end of the video, I have a couple pictures I can show you that are kind of interesting. So from an old one, I used to draw in sketchbooks more before the internet really now, or not so much the internet, but computers, because now with the computers, I just design stuff there. But I used to design stuff in my sketch. I do have one of those I recently found where I had done some designs in there I can show you. So I'll try to remember to pull that up by the end of tonight's video or stream. The pigment is really nice on these. Like, can you see how well this is coming out onto that paper? And I'm just going quick and messy and not really worrying about things being perfect. I just want to get a feel for what they can do, and so far it's kind of nice. Now, would I use this in my own work? Absolutely not. They're not, you know, there's no light fast ratings that I can find, so no. If they were light fast, I would. But if I were looking for something for a student to learn, or somebody who's a beginner and doesn't care about making prints, or well, I'm sorry, you can't make prints, doesn't care about selling the originals, doesn't care about if their work is going to fade, then these I think I would recommend. I really like them. I like that it seems like we're seeing more companies like the Marco Refine, I may be saying that wrong, colored pencils. There were those in the Marco Renoir, whatever the more expensive one was. I forget which one it is. You can get them on Amazon. Those were really nice. I still need to do the video on those. Those guys kind of flaked on me and didn't, well, they wanted to have a phone call. And then I put the time, was ready for the phone call and waited for them. I never heard from them. And I emailed him. I'm like, I thought you wanted to call at this time on this day. And he's like, oh, well, that's too last minute for you to have let us know. What? You let me know what time. I'm the one. Okay. And I never heard from them again. So I'm just going to do the review. Without whatever they were going to give. I don't know what information they thought that I needed for the review to share with you guys, but that was kind of weird. But it's nice that there are companies like that, even though they're not light fast. I'm glad that we're seeing this, I'll just make that go off the page because this looks weird how I've got it all skinny. I'm glad that we're seeing companies making pencils that perform well, even if they're not good for light fast, they're not good for, you know, artwork that you're going to sell. The fact that people can at least get their feet wet with colored pencils and not have to spend an arm and a leg to find out if they like it, but still have a pencil that works well. I'm really happy that we're starting to see more of that. Whoa, that's crazy. Oh, Beetles tin. Maureen said the Dick Blick, the Bruynzeel Beetles. Well, this one's the Expression, so this may be different than the Beetles, unless you mean it had beetles on the front. I'm not sure. I'm seriously not familiar with this brand at all, if you can't tell. Those are $19.99, so that may be a different type of pencil. These, just to be clear, are the Bruynzeel Expression Color. And I don't know how that would be. Clary said, I heard that OMS can break down the fibers of the paper and it makes me hesitant to use. I've never experienced that, and I've never actually heard anyone who knew enough about it who was able to convince me that it did. There's no proof that I've seen that it does enough damage to matter. But I do know certain things like Vaseline can do that. I know there are things that can break down and cause problems. But when you say break down, I mean, to what extent? How much are you using, and are you just like letting it soak in it? Yeah, that's going to make the paper fall apart, but so would water. So that's where I don't know. I haven't heard any information that would make me not use it, and I've never seen any bad results from anything where I have, and I use a lot of, I've been using OMS for many years. So it doesn't cause any damage that would make me not use it. And some paper doesn't play nice with it. I mean, there is that for sure. I'm going to blend that out. I don't care if I'm going to leave it being a little bit rough looking. I want to see how this handles doing details and layering color on top of it. I want to see how translucent or opaque these colors are. So I'll get a bit of OMS, make sure I don't have a ton of black on there before I blend into this area. I do like this paper. Seriously, this is funny to me because I thought this was going to be a stream where I was like, I don't like this, I don't like that, this is terrible, and I'm really happily surprised. It's like going to a movie that you thought was going to be horrible. It turns out to be not horrible, and that alone makes you love it. Like, you like it more than you probably would have if you didn't go into it thinking it was going to be terrible. That was me in Black Panther, by the way. I'd heard weird reviews, and I loved it. This is super fuzzy. I am not being clean. Okay. So I'm going to let that set. Let's answer some questions. We'll let that dry. I'm going to see how well color shows up on top of this. Kimberly said, what is the lightest weight paper you use with OMS? I have used paper that was, I want to say 65 or 70 pounds. It was a Strathmore one, and I don't remember which one it was. I think the Strathmore drawing. And that paper I love the texture with, but gosh, it was so lightweight. So I don't use it at all anymore, mainly because of how lightweight it was. So they have thicker paper, but I just don't like those ones as much. So that one, but I don't use that anymore. Now the lightest that I'll use is 90 pound. The Stonehenge, Can't Send Me Tans, I want to say was 90. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. I know the Stonehenge that I used was 90 pound. And that I really liked. Oops, that just scrolled too far. Ah. Wow, that scrolled way too far. Vladimir wants to know if I intend to do any traditional pan or tube type watercolor paintings. Probably eventually, yeah. I think I will. I like the pencil. I can't imagine myself liking those as much as I like the pencils. I just loved working with the pencils. But yeah, I'm not going to say no, that's for sure. Let's see. Can I use OMS on any colored pencils? You can, but not all of them behave that well with it. Like the Color Soft don't work very well at all with odor. Like not much happens. But Prismacolor, Luminance, Polychromos, Pro Color, all of the Marco Renoir, whatever that I know I'm saying wrong, the Marco Refine, all of those worked really well with the OMS. But you don't want to use them with watercolor pencils, because sometimes people get confused with that watercolor pencils are the same as colored pencils. It's not the same thing. Regular colored pencils are wax or oil based, so that works well with OMS, whereas watercolor pencils or Inktense, those are both water based. OMS isn't going to do much for you. It wouldn't make sense to use that anyway. How do I deal with graphite shine? Whenever I take a picture of graphite drawing, there is always reflections and the picture looks less bright. first I try to avoid the shine as much as possible because of how it photographs. I actually am not one who cares if there's much shine on my graphite. Like the finished piece doesn't bother me. It's just that, like you're saying, it's hard to photograph. So I try to avoid the shine, and graphite is a lubricant. And so when you work over it again and again and again, you end up polishing the surface, creating shine. So you've got to be careful not to burnish, not to push really hard, not to overwork an area so much. That's creating that shine, and it makes it very hard to photograph. But when you push hard with a pencil, that increases it. If you use a pencil with a higher, like an B, like an 8B, a 6B, the higher B numbers, those are going to be more prone to shine. Because the lead is so soft, you're getting a lot on there. It's just, a lot of it is in how you work. Now for photographing, it's going to be the same as how I would with painting. I keep it taped to a board so it's perfectly flat, first of all. So like a loose piece of paper, that tends to warp and bend, and it makes it very hard to photograph. So I always tape it down, at least the 4 corners, I use masking tape to a drawing board so that I can get a good flat image. And then I photograph them in indirect sunlight, and you have to play around with getting the right lighting there. Can any hot press watercolor paper work for colored pencil, or does it have to be Pacific? I think you mean specific. Yeah, try it. There's no reason you can't use it, but you're gonna like some better than others. They aren't all created equal just because they're hot press. But yeah, any of the hot press should be smooth enough. And like I said, it's gonna be part personal preference, just the way that you work. A paper that I love, you may hate just because we work differently. But yeah, any hot press should be fine as long as, you know, as it's acid free. Oh, Staline said the Bruynzeel colored pencils are available open stock at Blick for $1.69 each. Not super cheap, but that's not bad. Now it makes me want to find out more on the Lightfast ratings. That's encouraging to hear. I like that. Cam said, do you recommend that for beginners first work with colored pencils only, no blenders or OMS? No. If you're planning to blend with OMS, I mean, for someone like me, if I were to work with colored pencils without it, I would quickly realize, wow, this is killing my hand. I can't work in this medium, so I'm not going to do it. No, I usually would start students with OMS right off the bat. Whatever interests you is what I would suggest there. So I'm going to take this, ooh, that's super dark. That isn't a light pencil anyway, but that really does not show up, so I don't like that. Let's see with a white, which is boring. Not opaque, so that's the only thing I'm not in love with. I think for a base layer, they're good, but the white, look how that just does not stick or show up. That's meh. Okay, so there's one thing I'm not in love with about these. The white, the lighter colors, this is an extremely translucent pencil that's behaving like an oil base, actually almost worse than an oil base, because here, let me see. Hold on, I should have I'm just out of curiosity. I want to use my white polychromos on yeah, polychromos. If this is brighter, oh my gosh, white polychromos is more opaque than this, which is supposed to be a wax base. So yeah, the opacity sucks on these pencils. Good for laying down, good for coloring, but if you're using these pencils, I would get a different, anything that you want to be opaque, I would not use these. Like, let's see. Well, that's still pretty dark. That's actually a dark pencil anyway. Do I have one that's lighter? Not in front of me. I'm just grabbing pencils out of the, yeah, polychromos, just to give you an idea, is way more opaque than these. Like I said, that's weird because polychromos tend to be my more translucent of colors. So I'm not in love with that. That's going to make doing the rest of this a little bit more difficult because I will probably have to go over it with a different brand. Well, let's go ahead and finish with this. I want to start creating the hint of scales in here. I'm just going to move that back and forth. Just get some texture. But yeah, this is going to be hard. I'll let it dry a little bit more. We'll see if it makes any difference. But this is going to be really hard to do what I was planning on project-wise, being that the white is not going to show up. So alternatives would be, one, just use a different pencil. A different, like a white. The fact that polychromos is more opaque is hilarious to me because that is the most translucent white pencil. But like maybe a Derwent Drawing Chinese white or the Luminance white. Prismacolor white would be better. Apparently even polychromos white. Those of you who use polychromos know why that's so funny. But the white in this set, I do not recommend. Unless, did they call it a colorless blender? Because that would, no. If they had called it a colorless blender, I would have believed it, because that is like, wow. No opacity there. But the pigment, the getting the initial dark, I really liked. But yeah, getting layers on top. Now this it feels very waxy. It's almost like the final layers of Prismacolor, where it really doesn't want to take a lot of layers too. Senka said, these colors versus Color Soft, what's better? I would go with these over Color Soft, apparently, except for white. That, or any of the opaque colors, that just does not stand out. I have a feeling Color Soft would be superior there. I don't have any Color Soft. Do I have Color Soft here? I don't think I have any here. I know I gave my main set that I first bought to my nephew. I'm not sure if I have more, but they, I would say if somebody is just learning and wants to learn to blend with OMS, I liked these. I like these better, but not the white. Whoops. It's gonna scroll too far. How many layers of color can you lay down by using OMS? It depends on the pencil and it depends on the paper. Like, there are too many factors to be able to answer that for certain. Like when I use my old, and that's different now because the texture is different, but the old Fabriano Artistico that I used to use all the time, the hot press, those with Luminance and Polychromos, when I used those with OMS, I could get about 20 layers total. That was about average for me, where I would do like 3 to 5 layers, blend with OMS, 3 to 5 more layers, blend with OMS, 3 to 5 more until I hit about 20 layers. That was pretty normal, but with these, I don't think I would be able to get as much. If you were using Prismacolor, you're not going to get as many layers. It depends on the pencil and it depends on the paper. Because a paper with more tooth, you're going to get more layers because there's more for that pencil to grip to. If the paper is really smooth, let's say Bristol Vellum, so smooth, you're not going to get near that many layers. It's hard to get the color pigmentation on there too because the paper is just too smooth for the pencils to stick to. Do I prefer hot press or cold press for colored pencil? Hands down, hot press. Hot press is going to be very smooth. The cold press is too rough, so you get this bumpy look, which is not the look I go for when I'm working in colored pencil. I may change my mind on that as far as watercolor pencils go, but for regular colored pencils, I go with hot press. Whoops, that just scrolled out of the crap. Where did that go? Rose, let's see. Okay, let's see if I can get some more on here. And this is going to be weird now because a lot of what I plan to do, this isn't going to, like the blue's not going to stand out. I wanted to play around with like blue highlights. And that's just coming out really dark and like that does not look pretty up against that yellow at all. The blue is just too translucent. So interesting. So yeah, they definitely are performing closer to a weak version of an oil-based pencil. But they go down more like a real waxy pencil. Real weird combination. Even with that white, though, being as translucent as it is, I think I'll still get some of these for my nephew. I'll probably just send him a couple of extra, like, white from a different brand. I was really hoping for this blue to be a lot lighter. Let's see if this one, we've got a peach color. How does that? See, it doesn't show up at all. There's like nothing coming out on here. This is working, like I could do it as a colorless blender. There's nothing, but by itself, it looks fine against the white. Oops, but not so much. So he's going to be hard for me to make look as cute as I wanted because the white just doesn't show up. So what I'll do, I'm actually going to grab, which pencil do I want to use? Those are markers. What do I have in front of me? Chinese white. Let's try the Derwent Pro color, just because that's in reach. That's actually kind of opaque, or translucent too. Let's stop being lazy, grab the pencil colors I really want, which are going to be Luminance and white and light blues. These are the pencils that I want. I've got some Derwent Drawing, Chinese white. Okay. It's almost, now part of this is that it blended over, let's try, it doesn't show up that well there. Part of it I blended with that colorless blender, and so that's going to make the other colors not stick as well. But even areas where I didn't blend with that, it's the color doesn't want to stick. It's almost like my other pencils don't stick on top of it as well. So it goes down well, but look at, wow, even that's kind of translucent compared, that's my Derwent Drawing Chinese white, and usually that pencil shows up over everything. So these ones seem to be one where I would probably recommend be very careful. Leave a lot of your white paper showing where you want highlights, and then put the color you want on top of it, because it almost seems like this one doesn't, it layers and blends really smooth, but then it doesn't want to take additional layers on top of it once you blend out, with whether it be the colorless blender or not. Have I done any art on different colored sheets of paper? Gray, black, brown. I have. I've used brown, or I'm sorry, not brown. Well, kind of a buff cream color. I've used blue and I've used black. Jay said, I received a 4-pack of these pencils with an art subscription box a while back, which included the white. I feel vindicated hearing that the white is actually terrible. Yeah, it's, I don't even know. I wonder, let's grab some colored paper. I'm curious if it's that the white is so bad, or if it's not wanting, well, my other layer colors are going on top. Let's try with black paper though. Hold on 1 second. I just have to remember where I put it. It's in here somewhere. There it should be. Ah, here we go. Actually, while I'm over here, grab that too. Okay, so this is Strathmore Art Again. This is just a black paper that I use it to test things on. But I wonder, oh, where did it go? See, on black paper, it actually looks good. So these might be really good if you were working on black paper. Here's the Luminance. So the Luminance white is obviously way brighter, or some brighter, but on this paper anyway, this would actually probably, I wonder with the other colors. It's actually not terrible on that. It's almost more of an issue of layering on top of itself. It's getting angry about. So that's really interesting. Also, when you see people do color tests with pencils to prove how opaque something is on black paper, I just proved right now why that's kind of deceiving, because this is both on black paper, and look how close those look together. But you saw over here on the actual project where I'm layering a pencil on top of each other, where that white pencil that came in this set doesn't work very well. So yeah, it looks great on black paper. That doesn't mean it's going to work good on your project. So watch that. I see that a lot where reviewers will test on black paper. And while I want to test it just because of my being interested, okay, is it the pencil? Is it the layering? But just know you can't completely trust that that's how that's going to work once you go onto your project. Because I just compared to really, let's do that again here. Let's use, again, this one is the, Bruynzeel. Let's go really solid there. I'm burnishing pretty hard, so I'm burnishing a bit. Let's do my Derwent Drawing. I mean, you can see that this is brighter, but when I compare, like if I got that result on that fish, I'd be happy with it, but I'm not getting that result on top of other colored pencils. So whenever you see comparison videos, and or not comparison videos, I've seen a lot of comparisons where they compare them on black paper. It is too hard to really, I don't think it gives you a good feel for what that's going to be like when you're actually working on a project, layering on top of other pencil, because the way that the pencil sticks to other pencil has just as much to do with how opaque the pencil on its own on the black paper is. So just something to throw out there for you guys to be aware of. Because I've seen those tests and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're showing that this looks super bright, but I've tried that on a project and I know for a fact that pencil does not layer on other colors that dark. Let's see. Okay. Now I could also, I'm going to choke on my coffee. Use my touch-up texture titanium white mixture from brushandpencil.com. I could go over that and get super bright highlights. So that could be a solution too. If you've got that product, that would show up really nicely. And I'm actually going to play with some of these and see if I can get, it's almost, these pencils just don't want to layer. And I don't have a lot of layers over here, and I didn't blend with the OMS, and it still isn't wanting to stick. So that's interesting. I think if I did another project with these, I could get a better feel and create more what I want. I don't know. This is muddy down here, so I'm just going to go over it with white and then put yellow on top. I'm burnishing here. Let's see if the yellow will stand out on that or not. Oh, that's nice. See, it's weird because some of these colors seem like they're layering really well. It's the light. If I want to get a light pencil to really show up, they're just like, nope, I'm not doing that for you. Gore asked if the mug is bigger than my head. It looks bigger in photos than it actually is. It holds, I usually put 20 ounces of coffee, but it's only half caffeinated. I can't handle that much caffeine. Believe it or not, I don't talk fast because of caffeine. I just talk fast, but I can't handle a lot of caffeine, so I have to do decaf on most of this, but it's that big. It always looks, when I take photos, it looks like it's way bigger than what it is, but it is bigger than a normal cup. But I make, I use one decaf and one regular coffee so that I have to dilute it like that. And that tastes better than just half cap. I don't like half cap. Let's see. Okay. Mr. Tony said, I wonder what would happen if you laid the light first. You know what? We're going to try that. We are definitely going to try. I'm going to try to do something with this guy and see if I can turn him into something. Now, one of the things I want to encourage you guys, let's say you're practicing with something, you're drawing with something, and you're like, wow, I don't like how that came out. Try to fix it. Try to find a solution to not liking it. At least make it cute. But I really want to encourage you guys, don't just give up on stuff. Oh, I don't like it. See if you can, I mean, you may not like the supply, but when you do a project, at least try to make the project work. You should have a fin there. Why don't I have a fin drawn there? I know goldfish anatomy, really. So yeah, I like the blending for sure. I like how fast that base layer, I bet getting like an out of focus blurry background would be really good as long as you didn't need white with these. But what I want is to get this feel of scales, and nothing is, I'm pushing hard, and those pencils are just not, even my white's not, oh, it shows a bit on those. So it would be easier then, I'm going to pull some of this red. Even the red doesn't stick really well at this point. A little bit. So it seems like I can easily go deeper in color. It's brightening thing, or, you know, lightening anything that is a real challenge. Now, that I don't think is a problem with the paper, because this paper takes layers really well. So I don't think this has anything to do with the paper. I think it's just the pencils don't really want to, those light colors don't stick at all on top of the dark ones for some reason. So I'm taking that red and really darkening up in between some of the yellow and the magenta, but you can see it's almost like a glaze. It's not as dark like the red here. We'll make it darker here so you can see how much that stands out. I'm pushing just as hard here, and see how it's not darkening it. It's not really sticking. Now again, part of this, just as a reminder, part of this had that colorless blender, so that will be part of the reason that that's not doing it. But let's go ahead. Yeah, it's definitely going darker where I've not used the colorless blender, which duh, I should have realized that was going to be a thing. I'm glad I didn't use the colorless blender everywhere though, so that I could test that over here. And that's one of the things that I don't like about using colorless blenders. It's not just that it hurts my hand, it's that you really can't keep layering. So it makes sense here that I can't get the white to stand out, but I do think this should stand out better. That's really weak. Like super, super pale. Works as a colorless blender. I'm not unhappy with it for that. Let's try the sharpener. I haven't even done that yet. It's a pencil sharpener. It's a win. Kind of like that. The lid feels like it's going to fall off easily. I can already tell this is going to be one that I spill shavings everywhere all the time because how easily the lid is just like barely sitting on top there. I make messes, and that is definitely going to be one I do that with. So that's not, you know, I do really like how quick for a sketchbook, though. You can layer these colors so nice. This would definitely be one, if you want a quick pencil to lay down and want to do sketching, I like this. I'm not even going to blend this out. I'm going to leave this rough. So there's my quick little goldfish. I mean, the colors do blend. This is one that I would say would be okay for someone to learn, except get a different white. Any of the colors you want to be opaque, I would say get it. And I don't actually want to test out. Let's try over here. I'm going to put some colors down that are kind of dark. I'm not going to burnish. I'm not going to damage the tooth of the paper here. But I want to get these colors a little bit darker, and I want to see how other white pencils layer on top, because they are not doing super amazing on the fish. Let's see if it's just how I blended. Gail said just tape the lid down on the sharpener, which you can do, but that's going to be annoying every time I want to dump it and I'm sitting there trying to peel the tape up. I've done that before, and I know that it still irritates me. I mean, I'm still going to use it. I'm just going to complain when I knock shavings all over the floor. What I typically do where I pour my shavings, it doesn't have a lid anyway, so I end up with shavings everywhere regardless. And these colors, look how pretty those go together. So again, still super impressed with how fast, like even here, that color, that pigment went down almost like charcoal would, like that, or pastels or whatever. They really went down nicely. So I'm gonna get a little bit more pigment on here, and then we'll blend out. We'll have to let this dry a bit before I can try the white pencil. So this is like, you know, maybe 2-3 layers of pencil on here. There's not a ton of pigment, and I held the pencils to the side. So again, I'm really not damaging the paper. I just want to see. I may do a couple layers to test. I'll test this, then put another layer, and then test it again and see if the light colors, the pencils will stick to it. But look how nice, I mean, that blends super well, and the pigment's a little bit deeper than what you guys are seeing on the video, it looks like. So let's let that dry for a second. Can you use a regular pencil sharpener for colored pencils and watercolor pencils? Yes, you can. Do you have to get a special kind? No, not really. I mean, you ideally want something that's pretty sharp, so that you're not splitting the case and you can end up with problems with that breakage and stuff if the sharpener starts to get dull. So you do want a sharp blade in the sharpener. But no, they work pretty good. Like every sharpener I usually use Coom sharpeners. I think that's what this one is. Most of the sharpeners I have are by Coom, and they're all good. I have the X-Acto School Pro. Now, that one's an electric sharpener that you plug into the wall. It's a big one. I kind of like it, and I kind of hate it. I liked the first one I had, but the blades got dull. I replaced it, and this one, there's something in it. I have problems with it shredding my pencils, like really weird. It doesn't play nice, so I don't find myself using it as often as I used to. I think that I got a bad one on the second time because I loved it the first one. Let's see. That looks dry enough. So with white, it's weird. The pencils, it's all light colors that just don't show up real well. That was my Derwent drawing. That really should have shown up a lot better than what I'm seeing happen here. Like that is not, I don't even know, that doesn't show up at all. Their white really doesn't show up. But that's interesting how much the light colors are not showing up on top of the dark colors. So that'd be weird. That's a little bit weird. I've never actually seen that happen with colored pencils where you just couldn't, I mean, that's only a couple of layers. I've not damaged the tooth of the paper. This is rough enough. It really should stick to just fine. That's so interesting. But yeah, I definitely think these are going to be great for sketches, especially in this paper. I really like this sketchbook. This is that Fabriano sketchbook. Really nice. A little bit weird because this, like, it's a hardcover book with very stiff paper or very thick paper, and breaking the spine in is going to be, stop it, going to be a challenge. I mean, it will over time. If you're working one at a time, it won't be as bad, but I do like that. Now, one of the things I wanted to test too, I mean, this paper is actually similar enough. I don't think I need to really do too many tests on this paper, but let's just let's throw, look how quick that goes down. My gosh. I'm going to make a dark color and see what happens with the white on top of that. There's not quite enough paint thinner on there. So we'll let that dry, and I want to see how the white stands up against that. Okay, and then I also wanted to show you guys while we wait for that to dry. This was my old sketchbook. I should probably preview. Let's see. A lot of somebody's phone number's in there. I shouldn't put that up. I don't know why there's somebody's phone number. Sketching for ideas. So many ideas that I've had that I'll sketch first here. And this one, this idea, I thought looked good here. I did it on a canvas. It was horrible. Each of these was to be a cube with a scene inside that cube. And it didn't work. And I ended up doing circles instead, like spheres. It's a really, one of my oldest videos. There's a scissor tail flying on the outside. On the inside, I have 3 different spheres with different scenes. One has a goldfish, one has a space scene, and what's the third one have? Maybe a dandelion? I don't know. It's old. I don't remember. But it didn't work out. There, I tried it again. You can see, look, that's supposed to be a little goldfish. But what's fun with this, I designed a bunch of stuff I was drawing out for my old band, Stereo Child. So just getting an idea for different parts. We wanted this old wagon. We were just sketching stuff. A sketch of what my studio looked like at the time. I have no idea why I sketched that. This did end up being a painting, actually. This one was either, I don't know if this one ended up being what, Vices or Light Up the Sky, but 2 older paintings. I would sketch stuff out that way. These are supposed to be asteroids. But you can see my sketch pads aren't very detailed. Sketch of a swan. Like, I would sketch, like, super, like, I'm spending 2 minutes on this and then I'm going to go paint. So, really basic sketches. Nothing serious. This one, I want to see if I can find, oh, I do have it. So this was the sketch, which ended up being this painting. Well, this is a postcard of that painting. But there was my end painting. And this one is kind of a fun example of where my sketchbooks would start and where they would end up. So I have my moon, my fence, grass. I didn't draw the bird in yet. I did a few different sketches, which messing around with my perspective here to make sure I had my fence right, which I didn't use. You can see I ended up only using 2 fence posts, so I didn't go with all of that anyway. This was the final design. So you can see when I do my sketches, I do not worry about the drawing being perfect. I mean, look at the difference. Realistic chickadee, that's an idea of where the bird is going to go. I just draw like this super quick mess. That was, wow, 2011. September 5th, 2011, I drew that one out. But that's what ended up being that painting. So whenever I would do the sketches, I never spent a lot of time perfecting the drawing because I was going to spend that time on the actual painting. But this is one of my only, I don't remember what that was supposed to be. I did make that into a painting. I don't have a postcard of that, but that one might be on my website still. I'm not sure. But that did end up being a painting. Aw, my little goldfish. He ends up on everything, and circles that I didn't end up doing. Most of the stuff in here didn't end up being anything. Like, that was designs we were coming up for the band. I kept going with this moon sitting in the grass thing. I don't think I have much else in here. Let's see if there's anything worth. Chords for a song I had to play. I have a lot of violin notes in here because this is something during the band time. I would take this with me and I could do a lot of sketching at that point. I used to design my websites too. Whenever, I think this one was my own website I was designing. I would design them in a sketchbook before I designed them, which makes no sense. It's a website. Design it on Photoshop or design it on whatever program you're going to use. But so that was kind of funny. I would sketch things out in my sketchbook before I would ever go to the computer. That did end up being a painting. Wow, I didn't realize I had that many of them in here. That ended up being a painting. When I can't even tell which side is right or wrong, that's a challenge. That's bad. And there's not really much else in there. So that back then I used to use the sketchbook more, but now I really don't. I used to sketch before computers and before I could sketch. Now I can sketch stuff on my tablet. I can sketch stuff on electric devices that are easier to carry around, but yeah. Let's see. Rachel said, when using sketchbooks, does the pigment and color transfer to the page in front of it? Is there a way to prevent that? Yes, it can. And if you want to prevent that, it depends on the medium you're using, the type of pencil, the type of paper. You know, there's so many factors. Get a piece of glassine. Just cut it out the size of the paper, and you can stick that in there. Of course, it's going to make your sketchbook super thick because you've got extra paper in there. But glassine, a piece of tracing paper, the glassine's the easiest because the art won't stick to the glassine itself. But yeah, it can to an extent. You'll use, especially if you push on something hard. So like here, because this all has color on it, if I went to this page and started pushing hard here, that's going to cause this to transfer over here. Well, with a normal pencil, I'm not positive with these if they would. I'm assuming they would, but I don't know for certain. But that's a good question. But glassine is the safest to make sure it doesn't transfer onto the other side. And then sketchbooks that are thin, like the one that I just had. This one is super thin. I don't even remember what weight pad this is. This is a generic, Master Stitch. So it's an old Hobby Lobby one. But the paper in here is like, I would guess 65, 70 pound max. I don't even think it's that much. It's really, really thin. So with that stuff, when I push hard on one side, I indent. Like, let's say I'm doing a lot of shading. I'm trying to look for a pencil. I don't think I can actually do this and it'll show really well. But let's say I'm pushing really, really hard on this one. I just indented this paper, and it can go back several sheets where I've got indents where I was pushing hard with my pencil. If I was, burnishing an area, you will damage that. So if you're going to use a sketch pad and you're going to leave your drawings in it, I like this type with a 3-ring binder because it lays flat. So it makes it very easy to work in. And then it's easy to tear it out. They're all perforated. So I like this type of sketch pad, but the paper is not thick enough to really not damage what's underneath. So I always tell artists, if you get a sketch pad and it's something that you're going to want to keep the artwork, rip it out, work on it separately. Don't leave it in I can store it in here, but I don't want to leave the artwork that I might actually care about in there as I work because I'm going to damage the paper underneath it if it's a lightweight paper like this. Valerie wants to know when we'll be seeing Humanity. Valerie, by the way, just did recently a wood burning, or it wasn't on wood though, was it? It was paper. I only saw it for a second, but I caught just a few minutes of it. But she did a live stream where she was doing this manatee with the burning and then using watercolor. You used watercolor, right? Am I right on that? Gorgeous manatee. Oh my gosh, this piece was stunning. And it really inspired me. So I had just seen that. And then I was looking for a different photo on Pixabay of something else. What is on my... Okay, what is on my drawing table? paint. Okay, sorry. I was looking for another photo of a fish or something else, and I came across a manatee, and I was like, okay, I've already been inspired because of Valerie's manatee, and now I saw this one, and I saved that one, the Pixabay one I got, and I have an idea for a surreal painting. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but soon. I'm excited. So definitely was inspired by Valerie there. Also, if you guys have not already, make sure to subscribe to Joseph Fincham and Valerie, who are our moderators for tonight. They help me so much. But their channels are linked in the video description. You can check those out and, you know, say a big thank you by subscribing. You'll want to anyway. They've got cool videos. Okay. Whoops. Scroll too far. Vladimir said, I recently had a weird, oily, dark spots appear in my sketchbook. Any clue why the heck that might be? It would depend on the medium you're using. No, I mean, without seeing it, there's too many things it could be for me to know from that. Let's see. I named my bird after you because he's so colorful, like a piece of art. His name is Lachri. He's a Princess of Wales bird. That is so awesome. I'm seriously flattered. I love birds. You guys know that. That is so cool. Yay! Bryson said, does it matter to have a sharp point when working with watercolor pencils? I didn't find that it made much difference. With colored pencils like this, it does. Because with colored pencils, if the point is not sharp enough, it doesn't get into all the little nooks and crannies of the paper. So you end up with a gritty, grainy look, basically what I have here. That's why when you go with the side of the pencil, you end up with so much roughness, because the pencil tip isn't getting into all those little nooks and crannies like I am here. I mean, the difference there, you can really see how solid this is versus this one. So, and a sharper point will even do that more. But the thing is, with watercolor pencils, once you add water on top of them, a good pencil is going to dissolve completely. You're not going to see the grainy, gritty look. The water is going to cause that to dissolve right into the paper, just as the same. So from what I found so far, unless I was working on tiny detail areas, I really didn't need my pencils to be, excuse me, super sharp, which was nice. So that kind of gives you an idea. I really do like this paper for a sketchbook. This is one of my favorite sketchbooks I think I've gotten, or that I have. The tooth is really, like, I like how thick it is. I like the tooth of this paper quite a bit. I don't know that it's what I would want for doing a full project on, like something that I wanted to finish and have fully detailed and all of that. It might be a little bit more tooth than I like. I'm not sure. Okay, let's try this with polychromos. Let's do it. Something just attacked me. Let me grab the polychromos. They're sitting on the floor right now. Let's see how well this layers on here. Stop attacking me, pencils. Okay. I want to see if I like this as much as I think I will. Okay. I just want to see, once I blend out with these guys, what kind of results I get. So these are my Faber-Castell polychromos on that Fabriano paper. Again, all the supplies, well, other than the polychromos, the supplies, the name of the paper is listed in the video description. Can the Fabriano sketchbook handle water? Well, it's handling the OMS just fine, so it probably will too. You know what? Let's find out. Give me a second. We'll test that too. I don't know why I'm guessing when I can just test it for you guys right now. But I want to get enough pigment on here. I want to see how this blends out. If this blends nicely, I want to see if I can find bigger sheets of this exact paper, because so far, I'm liking it. Like, it's rough at this stage, but because of, it's like that, you know how I was talking about earlier where I really liked that Strathmore paper, the Strathmore drawing, it just had a little bit more tooth, pencil stuck to it well, it was just too lightweight for me. It'd be nice because this almost feels like that to me, except the paper is thicker. So let's see how this blends out. And that's only first, you know, a couple of layers with OMS. Oh my gosh. I like this better than Fabriano Artistico. That is incredible. Like the pigment. Okay, so the reason that this blended out so nicely and so dark with just a few layers is that this paper, because it has more tooth than the Fabriano Artistico, more pigment is catching. It's sticking to the tooth of the paper more. Like more pigment is coming off the pencil. And so when I blended it out, that is dark and nice and like, wow. Okay, I am loving this sketchbook. Oh, wrong end of the... Look at me trying to blend with the back end of the pencil. I'm a pro. Oh my gosh. Like seriously, guys, somebody needs to find out for me. Here is the name of this paper. Can I get this in big individual sheets? Just draw Fabriano Venezia Sketchbook drawing paper. It's acid free, so it should be fine. This is, wow. Okay, I'm excited to see. I need that to dry a bit. I'm gonna blend it a little bit more. How this takes additional layers when I go on top of it. Look how nice that is, like so pigmented and so smooth, and I barely did any work to get that much pigment from a pencil that early on. I am excited. I need this paper in my life. And it's not warping at all from the OMS. It's handling that just well. So let's find out too. I'm gonna let that set for a minute. And let's grab some watercolor pencils. No. Let's throw my watercolor pencils all over the floor. They got stuck. Luckily they came this way and not the back end of that. I've done this before when I pulled my pencils out. I should probably tape the tins closed when they're in there. But I did this before when I pulled the pencils out, but they went behind the I don't know if you can see the dresser next to me. They went behind it and into every... I found pencils in every single drawer of other art supplies. It took so long for me to get everything sorted out. Oh my gosh, I made a mess. These ones look like they all fell forward. So let's try these are the Derwent watercolor pencils. Pick some of these up. Okay. Throw some of these back in here. We'll just grab a couple of these pencils, and I think I've got a water brush over here. Oh, there's not much water left in it. Huh. Should be enough. We'll find out. So these are the Derwent watercolor pencils. And we'll see how if this warps or not. If you guys are ever blending something, let's say you're blending a red rose or drawing a red rose and you need to get deep shadows on it, try blending your shadows with magentas and purples before you jump straight to black. If you jump straight to black, the color just ends up dull and ugly. Reds and purples go really well together. So those purples make beautiful shadows. You can add then black if you need a really deep area on something, but use the purple first before you jump straight to black. Usually that ends up looking better. Okay, so let's, oh yeah, there's not much water left in this brush. I want to see if this paper warps much with using a ton. I'm going to mix a lot of water just to find out. See, this is why I'm liking the watercolor pencils, because they blend out better. I get more of that loose watercolor look than I found with the Karen-Pablo. We'll talk more about that when I do a comparison video, but I really like these. I'm like overblending. I'm just putting a ton of water to see how this warps and how it dries. Didn't warp that bad for how much water I just put on there. So yeah, you would be able, I think, to use this for watercolor pencils or for watercolor medium or like Inktense or whatever. I think that this paper would be okay. It probably, without taking a hairdryer to it, it's going to warp. I can already tell it. It's going to warp some. Once it dries, we'll have a better idea. I don't know, but I think, I mean, it's a sketchbook. You don't care if everything's perfectly flat. I wonder if that'll come off on the other side much. Yeah, you'll get it a little bit on that, so be aware of that. If that's wet, don't close it until it dries. If you closed it while it was wet, it'll probably dry fairly flat, but it's going to come off on the other side. So yeah, it is definitely warping. The more it soaks in, the more it's warping a little bit more and a little bit more, so that's going to be a bit wavy. It handled the OMS better than water. So you may want an actual watercolor sketchbook if you'd want things to not bend too much. Nicole said you can get the same sketchbook in a 9x12. I guess I could cut the sheets out and use that for pencil, huh? I want this in individual sheets. The Fabriano website said that this sketchbook is made with their Fabriano Academia paper. Oh, good to know. I'm looking into that. Isn't that going to be funny if I like that better than their more, because I think that one's cheaper, isn't it, than the Fabriano Artistico? It's going to be hilarious if I end up preferring this. Then, but that is like, I mean, here, again, this is Fabriano Artistico. Let's use the same about color. I'm going to push about as hard as I think I did. But see, the pigment doesn't stick from the pencil as much because the paper is smoother. So you're going to get smoother results, but that I liked. I liked that a lot. So we'll see with details once that dries a bit more. Like, these are the same pencils, and the pigment is just not nearly what I got, even at this stage, for those first few layers. Let's go in purple. I mean, this isn't like a scientific test. This isn't exactly the same. I'm trying to go as close as possible. Now, this is smoother, but see what happens when I blend out. It's not, the pigment so far isn't that deep. And thanks for looking that up for me, Ultramarine Blue. Paintbrush, what have I done with you? You're sitting right in front of me. I know you are, and I'm just not seeing you. Okay, why am I totally blind? Oh, it's over there. It's not really right in front of me. Oops, scrolled too far. Here we go. Do I still struggle with proportions of any drawing fundamentals? Depends on what I'm doing. I mean, I don't want to say struggle as much as some things are easier than other things. I'll figure it out eventually, but some things are just easier. Yeah, that is not nearly as dark. It's dark, and it's very smooth. Like, I think the end result is smoother with this, and I think this is the newer Fabriano Artistico, so things were really smooth blending with this anyway. But it's not quite as pigmented or as dark is what I have here. But like here, I can see a little bit more of a grainy, gritty look than what I have over here because this paper is so smooth. So you've got that trade-off. My first couple, layers to here, much higher pigment, blended super dark. This is lighter. That's going to take a lot more work to darken that up. And this one being the new Fabriano, I'm like 99% positive that's what this scratch piece was from. This one being the newer Fabriano, it's not going to layer quite the same. It's going to keep lifting some of those previous layers a little bit weird. So again, I'm going to let that dry a bit more. Yeah, this is its drying. It's definitely, you can kind of see here how it's warped on the back. It's a sketchbook. For me, that wouldn't bother me one bit. But some people might not want that. That might not be your preference. Can I do a review on the Karen-Pablo colored pencils? I need to buy them. I have a few. So here's the thing with the Karen-Pablos. They are to Karen-Luminance what Prismacolor Very Thins are to Prismacolor Premier. I hate Prismacolor Very Thins. Like, I've always, even when I used to use Prismacolor that's all I used, I've never been a fan of Prismacolor Very Thins. They're too waxy for my techniques. People are like, oh, but you get all this detail. Not me, and not how I layer. I have too many layers, and it just, I've never liked the Very Thins. So the Pablos, to me, felt very, very similar until I started using the powder blender. When I was working on sanded paper with powder blender blended, those Pablos for my final layers are wonderful. So now I want to get them. And I actually may like them because they're supposed to be really good on top of watercolor pencils too. Although when I used the watercolor pencils, I never felt like I needed a regular colored pencil. Like, it made sense. Oh, my screen went out. Why did my screen go out? Hold on. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can see or hear me right now. Why did this go away? There we go. Okay, we're back. But Yeah, so it is one thing that I am going to review for sure, but just to give you an idea of my opinion on them so far, I actually have a ton of them. Like, I can tell you I like them enough that almost every white in this thing are, there's a couple of polychromes, but most of the whites in here are my Karen-Pablo, the word Pablo. Gosh, words are so hard. It doesn't even say Pablo's on them, do they? Weird. Is that not odd that that doesn't say Pablo on it anywhere? Some of the stuff, oh, it does. Okay, sorry. It does. I just can't read it. Some of the stuff Karen Dosh does, I don't understand their designs. But, I mean, so I do like them, but for the powder blender works really well for me. Let's see. Helen said, whoops, scroll too far. Helen said you can use the clip things to keep the page flat. Yeah, to an extent, yeah, you could do that. It's only going to be, it's just hard because of the binding on this. Like, if I see, that's going to be hard. But yeah, the clip, you could, but the spine is going to need to be broken in a bit before I'm able to really do that. Crystal's Art said you should try scratching the watercolor pencil onto sandpaper over a wet surface to get texture on your artwork. Yeah, you know, the watercolor pencils, I was watching some videos by Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter. Oh my gosh, some of the techniques that she does, I'm like, I didn't even know they could do that. There's so many techniques I don't know about yet. I need to watch some videos. But Lindsay had some really cool, like where she was splattering and doing, it was really neat, some of the stuff you can do with those. So I'm excited to explore those more and learn more techniques to do. And the cool thing is some of those techniques would work for ink tints too. So yeah, I need to explore a bit more with those. Let's see. Katrina said, what colors would you use to make a nice gold color using colored pencils? Okay, so I'm going to assume, now I don't know for certain what you're asking because I would need more information, but let's say you're trying to make gold like the metal gold, make something, it's not about the color as much as the reflection. Purples and yellows, there would be some yellow, but kind of an orangey yellow, a warm yellow, not a bright yellow, like lime yellow or bright fluorescent yellow. I wouldn't go, excuse me, with that so much as a kind of gold, orangey gold, and then some purples, some magentas. A lot of those colors would work really well for that. But it depends, like if you're trying to get metallic, watch your contrast and your values matter more than anything else. Valerie said, it looks like I'm going to buy the academia paper from overseas. I honestly just contact Fabriano. I've talked to them before. I could probably get them to send me some. I'll have to look into that. And really, if that's what this paper is, I may just cut a sheet out, like just take a razor blade, cut it out, and try a project on it and see with a full project if I really like it or not. Just from what I've tested here, I do think I like it. Gail said, try wrapping a soft white headband around the sketchbook. Do you mean like here to hold it like that? Would definitely work. But see how my problem right now is just in breaking in, I'm going to have to, and I think one page at a time, like, I mean, now already that page I can hold open. So as you go through, it starts to break up on its own. But the problem is just right now, see, it's so, it's really stiff right now. Tom said, in my paintings, it's hard for me to get the right perspective. Could you show how to get it right? I can talk about it more when I'm doing a project. It's not something that I can like, here's a lesson on perspective. There's so much. There's so much. So I'll try to talk about that a bit more when I am doing paintings, but a lot of the paintings I do, perspective isn't important. If you notice most of my artwork, it's like I'm looking around going, okay, perspective didn't matter there, it didn't matter there, it didn't matter depending on, and especially with marine life, when you're doing underwater scenes, the depth, I mean, I guess depends on how you're using the term perspective. I will try to talk more about that, though, when I'm painting things, definitely, for those tutorials. Crystal's Art said, can you try the Caran d'Ache Super Color Pencil, watercolor pencils? I am absolutely going to. Because I found for myself when I was looking to buy one of the watercolor pencils, I'm like, Super Color versus the Museum Aquarella, whatever, I can't say. What's the difference? And the fact that I was asking that difference and having a hard time finding a good answer, I'm like, I'm just going to have to buy them and try them. But I have to pay taxes, and I am very short right now. So that isn't happening today. But I am going to test those for sure. You know the best thing about coffee? It's good, hot or cold, and it is really cold right now. I'm sad. It's gone. Okay, let's see. Peggy said for lessons on perspective, try watching circle line art videos. So I just want to say that out loud so you guys can look that up. Any tips on that, that'll be good. The more you learn about stuff, I mean, even if you watch a tutorial for someone and you're like, okay, this person is drawing houses and buildings, but that's not what I'm interested in learning to do. It's still helpful, I think, because you can learn to, you know, figure out how you can apply it to the style that you like to work in. So that's really helpful. Yeah. Kitsy said, so many art supplies, so little money. Yeah, definitely. I've been really, really lucky to work with like Derwent, because Derwent will provide me, like if I want to try any of their products, they'll send them to me to review. They have been a wonderful company to work with. And the thing I love so much about Derwent isn't like, we're going to send you this to review, but if you don't like it, you know, don't say anything bad about it. Like they are absolutely good and happy with artists' honest opinion on stuff. Like they've told me before, like, oh, like with Colorsoft, that I don't like Colorsoft. I thought they were going to be mad at me for that when I first talked to them. When they contacted me, I'm like, oh, they're going to tell me to take that video down. But they're like, no, I'm sorry you didn't like them. We understand it doesn't work for, you know, for all of the techniques. What about this product? You want to try this one? So they've sent me so many things to try, and they're totally like, I love reviewing theirs because I never feel obligated. Like I need to give them say good things about them, which I wouldn't do anyway. It's actually why I don't review a lot of products, because I don't want to, feel obligated to say good things if I don't think I'm going to like something, I guess, because I'm sure as heck not going to lie about it. But with Derwent, they're so cool they just want our honest opinion, which is really, I have so much respect for them because of that. But it's nice too, because I've gotten to try a lot of supplies that I would not necessarily, like the watercolor pencils. I wouldn't have put money into watercolor pencils because I was so certain in my head said, no, you don't like watercolor, don't spend money on that. I would have missed out on so much, but because they provided me with them, I'm like, now I know I love watercolor. So anyway, let's go back to some of these questions. Let's see. DJ said, can you give me another white highlighting for a colored pencil? Can you give me another white highlighting for colored pencil? Huh? I don't think I'm reading that right. What do you mean? Like a different white colored pencil? Huh? I'm not sure what you're asking. Can you word that in a way that my fried brain, because I'm really tired right now, will understand? Because I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure I'm reading that wrong. Emmy said, what is your favorite type of coffee? This one is Island coconut. Anything with coconut I love, but that's what I'm currently obsessed with right now. I am not picky when it comes to coffee. I see where people are like, take a drink and I'm like, oh, this coffee's terrible. It's coffee, it's all amazing. So I'm not, I don't have distinguished taste buds in that, I guess. Katz wants me to review the Holbein colored pencils. They're good, light, fast, but really expensive. So here's the thing about those. I've mentioned this several times, but it comes up a lot. The Holbein colored pencils have quite a few things going against them. One, you say that they have good light fast ratings. What ratings? I cannot find. Is it ASTM? Is it Blue Wool? What are the ratings? I cannot find that information. And on a pencil that cost $350 last I checked, although actually I saw them the other day on Amazon for less than that. So the prices on Amazon fluctuate. But they're too expensive for me not to have the actual ratings, and I can't find them online. Maybe they're in the tins when you buy the box. That is possible, but until I see that and know for certain, I want to know, did you test at Blue Wool? Are you using Blue Wool scale to rate this? Are you using ASTM? Like, I want to know I need more information. That is an expensive pencil. Next, they have not done any toxic rate. Like, there's no toxic ratings on there. They won't test them for toxicity. So because of that, they cannot be sold legally in the U.S. They are being sold on Amazon and eBay, not legally. Like an art supply store, Jerry's, Dick Blick, Michael's, and none of them can carry them legally because there is no toxicity reports done on those pencils. Now, that in and of itself isn't a reason that I wouldn't use them. Like let's say some of the pencils they're using colors or pigments that are toxic. As long as I know and can take proper precautions, like, hey, I can't put this pencil in my mouth when I'm holding it or switching colors. As long as I know, or don't get this on my skin, I'm okay. I mean, I oil paint. I use supplies that are toxic, but I need to know that going in, what to worry about, what not to worry about. But because they can't be sold in the US like that at art supply stores, you can't get them open stock. Why the heck would I spend 300, whatever they are right now, I'm not positive, but why would I spend that much money on a pencil I can't replace? So let's say I decide, let's pretend I decided they're the most amazing pencil in the world, but that blue that I love so much, I'm out of, I need more. The only way to get that color is to buy the full set of 150 or whatever set they come in. That makes no sense. Why would I buy pencils that I can't get open stock that cost that much? Like, let's say if it's a pencil like the Marco Refine, whatever. Those are cheap little pen. They're inexpensive. You get the full set. They're inexpensive. Not the end of the world. But hold on. You're talking about pencils that cost an arm and a leg, and you don't have, like, you can't get them open stock. Let's give you an idea. Let's give you a visual of my polychromos. Look how many of these are teeny tiny where I've used a ton of them. What happens when I can't replace that pencil? I need that color. I use it all the time. I love these pencils. If I couldn't replace that, I'm not buying them. I'm not buying a pencil that I can't replace. Next thing with those, they are essentially polychromos. They're pretty much the same as polychromos. I already have polychromos. Polychromos I can get in the US. Polychromos I know the light fast ratings. Exactly. Polychromos can be bought individually. What? Like the Holbeins, that they have too many strikes against them. Performance wise, I know they've gotten good reviews, but they're, from what I understand from people who I do trust, they are no better than polychromos. So in that case, why would I spend that much money on a pencil I can't get individuals of? That's my biggest issue, the fact that I can't get them individually and how much they cost without me being able to find that light fast. And again, that light fast information, maybe it's out there now. I haven't looked in the last year or so, but I couldn't find it when I looked about a year or so ago. So there's that. I just don't understand. Let's see. Anyway, that gives you some, whoops, scroll too far, some information. As you can tell, I'm kind of passionate about that with the colored pencils. I'm like, I just don't understand. They're so expensive, and there's videos out there going, these are the best pencils in the world. If I can't buy them open stock, they're not the best. I don't want to encourage people to spend a crap ton of money on something that isn't practical. It just doesn't make sense to me. Let's see. Any plans to test the Faber-Castell watercolor pencils? Absolutely. It's on one of my next things that I want to buy. Like, definitely going to test those. And what I really want to do, I want to be able to compare like Faber-Castell watercolor, the Karen-Pablo watercolor, and the Derwent watercolor and really see the difference between all of them. And what's interesting is that there's such a big price difference in a lot of these. Like, okay, do the Derwents, which are so much less expensive, do they stand up as well? What differences are there? That'll be fun to test. Bryson said, would you rather have a pencil to have more quality pigment or more light fastness? That's a hard one. Okay, so let's go with Derwent Pro Color because like half of those aren't light fast, or a little bit less than half, and polychromos, or no, I'm sorry, Prismacolor. Although Prismacolor have a lot that aren't light fast too, so I'm not sure that's the best example. But let's go ahead and compare those two. You guys know I don't like, let's pretend all the Prismacolors are light fast. We'll use that as my comparison, which is a big, we're stretching the truth a lot in saying that because they're not. But I want to say there's like 50 that aren't light fast. Moving on. Pretending that something like Prismacolor was all light fast. And then versus Derwent Pro Color. You guys know, well, maybe you know, I loved the performance of the Derwent Pro Color. I love the pigment. I loved how I could layer and blend. That's, performance-wise, probably my absolute favorite colored pencil. Then let's pretend we're going over to Prismacolor. I hate working in them. They break constantly. Again, pretending that they're light fast. I would personally, I think I would be more likely to use the Pro Color, which are not light fast, that performed how I liked, and just make prints of my artwork and not sell the original, than deal with the things that made me mad about Prismacolor. The breakage was just too much for me to enjoy. I didn't enjoy working in them, and that was a problem. I couldn't layer the way I wanted. They just weren't a good choice, a good fit for me. So in that case, I would rather use the less light fast ones. But let's say I had to create something that I wanted to hang in a gallery and I wanted to use colored pencils. I would go with the light fast ones, even if I didn't like them as much. it just depends. I mean, I think can you tell us my answer for everything? Like, there's so many factors in everything. Everything can make me change my mind. But like Derwent, okay, let's talk about Faber-Castell, Polychromos, and Luminance. I like both of those. I don't like the performance of either one quite as much as I liked the performance of the Derwent Pro Color, but I'm still going to go with those because I still did like those. And I know that they're light fast. Whereas the Pro Color, you don't see me reaching for them as often because of the light fast. I mean, I have in my Derwent Pro Color set, for example, this is my row of light fast. I have one section. I separated my light fast from the non-light fast. So these ones I can safely use in my artwork. It's, you know, a decent amount of colors, but I'll mix them with my other pencils, but I don't personally use the non-light fast ones in my artwork. So I don't know if I answered your question. I just rambled for a really long time. I sort of answered it. If you read between the lines, you can get the answer there. And scroll too far. Ah. Yeah, they said that the Holbeins are, Defo said the Holbeins are open stock, but only in Japan. Exactly. I mean, I know that they're available. If they ever changed it, if Holbein ever could provide the light fast, and maybe that's out there for people. I'm not an expert. Or, you know, I haven't researched them enough to find it. I couldn't find them at the quick when I looked it up. But let's say they were light fast. Let's say they did the toxicity reports and could sell them in the US. I would like without a doubt review those for you guys. I would be one of the first running out to buy them, but until that's the case on a pencil that expensive, heck no. Let's see. My art style has been really loose. I really like your style and would be joining Patreon soon. Do you recommend a good project to start with? If you mean on Patreon, it depends on what medium are you going with. Let me know that first, and I'll give you an idea of what video I'll look up and see what videos I would recommend starting with. It depends on what medium you're working in. The biggest thing would be choose the one that interests you most. You're going to learn more from that than anything else. But I'm actually kind of excited. I've got a video I've got to edit it. It should be up either Friday or Saturday, probably Friday. I just did an intro to acrylic painting video of a fish. That would be the one that I would recommend for acrylics. If it was oils, there's an intro with an apple where I show you how to, like, that's a perfect one for oils. For colored pencil, I'm not sure on colored pencil. I'd have to look through the list to see which I would recommend, but yeah, let's see. I had a question. I start to read it, and then like it stops, and then YouTube's like, nope, scroll to the bottom. You don't get to see this anymore. Where did it go? Typical artist 15 said, I remember when you didn't really like watercolor pencils. I'm so happy you got into them. The stuff you make is so pretty. Thank you. I'm happy you got into them too. They're a lot of fun. I think it made it easier too because I already had been using Derwent ink tints for so long. The transition between that and watercolor isn't that, I mean, there's a difference, but it's not like the difference between graphite and oil painting. So it made it easier to transition into that. Did I know that when the Faber-Castell Albrecht that I can't say are dry, they are permanent, similar to the Derwent ink tints? Yes, I have definitely heard that. I haven't tried them yet though. I'm curious to see the difference, and I would like to do a video ink tints versus those too. Like, I have a lot of versus videos. Like, I'm going to be doing the Derwent watercolor versus Caran-d'Ache watercolor pencils. That's going to be coming up, and I'm also going to do the Derwent watercolor pencils versus Derwent ink tints, so we can do the same project with both and really get an idea of the differences. Emmy said, in the future, can you possibly do a canvas review? So here's the thing about canvas. I'm sponsored by Frederick's. By that contract, I just bumped my table. By that contract, I can only use Frederick's. However, I already had normally I wouldn't make that agreement with a company because I want to be free to use what I want. But the thing is, about 6 months before I started working with Frederick's, years ago, I had sworn off anything but Frederick's. I had bad experiences with too many, usually generic brands, but too many other brands that I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I know Frederick's is good. I will only use Frederick's. But now, so that's why I was comfortable being on contract where they're the only ones I use. They provide me with my canvases now. But my contract, I don't do reviews on like that. I don't use other canvases, but I wouldn't want to anyway. So canvases aren't something you'll see me review. Now, on the other side, within, like, let's say just within the Frederick's brand, you have so many types of canvases: rough tooth, smooth tooth, linen, cotton. I mean, you've got tons of examples there. And I did do a video, if you look back, I think it was just a canvas review, I'm trying to think what you would look for that on YouTube. I compared 4 different types of Frederick's canvases. I did it in an oil painting, but it gives you an idea of the different textures. So like the Dixie Pro, the cotton, the Belgian linen, and you can really see the difference in the type of results that you get. I did 4 different styles on each canvas with, so you could see like which canvas is better for which style. So I have done that. Would I ever consider trying actual watercolor paint? Yes, I would, now that I like the pencils so much. Although I have a feeling I'm going to like pencils better than regular. We'll see. Let's see, going through here. I'm really sad that that coffee is gone. I'm so tempted to make more when this is over, but I know that's a bad idea. All the colors. Kat says all the colors are light fast except the 6 neon. Are you talking about the Holbeins? And if that's the case, I'd like to know what ratings, when you say light fast, what do they consider light fast? Because like Derwent considers on the blue wool scale anything above a 3 a light fast. A 3 or above is light fast. That's not how it works. Anything below a 5-6 I would consider not light fast on the blue wool scale. So, you know, what they consider light fast and what I consider as the artist may be very different. So I'd be really interested in finding more out about that. Definitely interested in that. And I really hope that they do. I mean, some people I've talked to don't think that they'll ever do the toxic reports. The weird thing to me about that is they sell other products. Like I have my Holbein airbrush paint I love. So I know I like other things by the company. I really, really hope that they end up making those available in the US, because I would love to have another brand that pencil, like the more the better, because variation in color, variation in performance, depending on what I'm trying to do. I would love to have more brands here. So I so hope that they end up getting that toxic report done. But from what I've been told by people, it's just so expensive, and that's probably why they won't do it. But it's weird. I'm like, but they did it for other supplies. So I don't know. I really, really hope that they do, because I would like to try them. Right now, it just doesn't make sense for me here with those other negatives and how much they cost to do that. And I have a feeling too, I bet you that if they were available in the US, being sold in the US, I bet you they wouldn't even end up costing as much as what they do. Also, for those of you who were, I wonder if it's still the case, just a quick little, for those of you watching, go away, notifications. Do any of you have Samsung phones and they have their smart lock where, like, okay, it's hooked up to my Fitbit, so if my Fitbit is near it, it should automatically unlock without me having to use my fingerprint thing? I got an update like 2 months ago, and now none of it works. None of the smart lock locations, none of the smart lock works. It drives me crazy. But anyway, what was I going to, oh yeah. So when I was looking up the watercolor pencils from Karen-Pablo, they were actually pretty inexpensive the other day. They were like $175 with the wood box. That's cheaper than without the wood box. Always watch those if you're interested in, lists. And check the prices. I like to put it in my cart so I can just watch what the prices are all the time. Let's scroll down. I wonder if the prices changed. So $277 without the wood box. With the wood box, is it in here? I can't find it now. Is it not in my list? With the wood box, $275. It's cheaper with that nice wood box I got for the Karen-Pablo watercolor pencil. So check Amazon if you're interested in getting those. yeah. So anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So for Smart Art Box, again, if you are interested in signing up to get your own Smart Art Box, the link for that is in the video description, along with the coupon code that will give you $5 off your subscription for life. And these are fun. I just love that I get to experiment and I get to try things and things that I wouldn't have ever, like I didn't even know about this paper. I had no idea. And now I'm like, wow, I'm super excited about this. I really want to try full projects. Oh, forgot. I wanted to test really quick. I wanted to throw paintbrushes on the floor. I want to test really quick how they layer. Yeah, this layers nicely. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need to try a project on this paper. And that's what I like so much with the Smart Art Box. Sometimes they're projects that it's like, this is more crafty. It's not something I'm really into, but it also, like the cards that I did, the video that just went up a couple days ago. I didn't necessarily love the project, but it gave me ideas to use in future paintings, doing stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise done. Here, I'm going to try things. I'm trying paper I wouldn't have otherwise tried pencils that I wouldn't have known about. So now when someone asks me about this, I can say whether or not I like them for different things. It's just really cool to get all of these supplies and try different things out. Inktense. I first tried Inktense because of Smart Art Box, and now I'm on the frigging tin of Inktense. Like, that's incredible. So I love, love, love Smart Art Box for lots of reasons, but it's just so much fun to get these and be able to test so many supplies out. Wait till you see the marker video. Those are neat. Those are the ones that change. Okay, quick preview. I just have to show you guys. Let me see if I can find them. I think they were down here. If I can dig them out. This was so... Okay, yep, they're here. You're going to see the actual video soon, but I have to give you a preview because, oh my gosh, the chameleon markers... Got to try them with Smart Art Box. Let's do that on this paper. Watch what these do. They're really cool. They're kind of annoying and kind of cool at the same time. So you can change the color. Let's see if I can remember how this one goes. That one. No. How the heck? I have to remember how these ones change. You put the color tip and you let it drain. This is going to mix magenta and red, and depending on how long you let that go. So there's the purple, and it'll blend perfectly smooth into the next color. It's kind of neat. Anyway, I'll be doing a project with those in... When does that video go up? I need to edit it. Actually, it should be up really... I'm missing a pen. That is the wrong thing. That one goes here. To remember which order these go, but I'll be doing a video on those. I've already done the project. I'll be getting that one ready on, I don't know, I'll probably edit tomorrow. So within the next few days, the video with these chameleon colors will be up. For that was another Smart Art Box one. It was pretty cool. So anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. Make sure you check out the mods channels. Those links are below in the video description. And of course, Smart Art Box. You can get more information on some of the stuff they have there, or I've got playlists you can see of different projects that I've done if you want to get an idea of the type of things that they send every month. So much fun. And I've got seriously, I'm backed up by like 4 boxes I haven't opened yet. So we will probably be doing a few more live streams with these. It's just fun to play with all these different things. But anyway, I'm rambling. I'm tired. I need a salad. Thank you for joining. And I will, within the next day or two, I should have another video up for you guys. An actual edited video. Oh, Saturday, I'm doing a live stream and I'm probably making the mods panic right now. Don't worry, I don't expect you guys to be here if you've got other things to do. But I'm doing another live stream on Saturday with Sheldine Fine Art. She's going to be working in colored pencils on a fox. I am going to probably be working with my Winsor & Newton pigment markers. We're just going to chat about art while we work on our own projects. That will be Saturday at 8 p.m. Central Time. So that's it. Thanks for joining. I will see you guys, well, in a few days.